Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for a long overdue review. Today, as you can see from the title, I am reviewing season 2 of the TV series Pose. Now, I reviewed season 1 last year. My brother introduced it to me and I was instantly obsessed with it. Like, oh my god, are we getting a second season? We were, so I was so excited for that. I'm someone who, when I really like a TV series, I cannot wait the week to week thing. It drives me insane. So I'll pretty much just wait until the series has ended and then I will just watch every episode back to back. So I couldn't do that until I finished my October marathon. So as soon as November came around, I got straight to watching it, and I think I watched every episode in about 2-3 days. I was a wreck. We're gonna get into it. I was going to do my review of it last month, but I didn't get around to it, so I'm getting around to it now. And first I thought, oh, I feel like maybe I've left it a bit late, but then I realized, A, who cares, because I really just want to talk about Pose. And 2, there are still a lot of people out there who don't know what Pose is. And I feel like I need to educate these people. So, let us get into the review. Pose is an American drama television series created by Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and Stephen Cannells that began airing on FX in 2018, with season 2 airing in 2019. It's about New York City's African American and Latino LGBTQ and gender non-conforming ballroom culture scene in the 1980s and 90s. The series features characters and dancers and models who compete for trophies and recognition in this underground culture and who support one another in a network of chosen families known as houses. If you thought I loved season 1, well, buckle up, because season 2 blew it out of the water, the park, and the goddamn volcano. It blew like Mount Vesuvius. This season, they pushed it further, not afraid to tell audiences what the real tea is, and I was here for it. Screaming, cheering, and crying through every minute. The second season of Pose is a roller coaster ride, the likes of which you've never been on. Pose excels at reflecting the genuine struggles of the aforementioned community during the 80s and 90s. Season 2 kicks off with the age of Madonna and her hit single Vogue, which introduced straight white people to the ball scene and the fallout that occurs when white people are tired of visiting the minority trend. Like season 1, season 2 addresses the AIDS epidemic, this season more specifically focusing on the community fighting back on how the media and the church were continuing to make the public believe there was no way to stop it, that it was the gay disease, and that it was God's way of ridding the world of homosexuals. To people who still think that, fuck off. This season also gives greater emphasis to showing us the daily struggle faced by the trans community. I was pleased to see this season bring the issues faced by the trans community front and center, even more so than with the first season, because it helps give a voice to what is going on right now in the world among trans people and how they are still facing the same ordeals, and it needs to stop. This show addresses genuine hard-hitting issues and it doesn't shy away from being uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable. Pose isn't like shows like Transparent, which, as good as that show is, there is a very significant difference. Transparent is about a straight cis actor pretending to be a trans woman. Pose is about trans issues played by trans people, gay issues played by gay people, Black and Latinx issues performed by actors of those races. This isn't a bunch of people pretending. While the stories and characters are fake, the actors portraying them have lived these struggles. They're here saying, this is my world, these are my battles, and this is who I am. This series showcases minority actors in ways I've never seen done before, and the fact some people still don't recognize that blows my mind. This season we see it draw back the curtain further on the more dangerous side of life as a trans person. We see it address violence, harassment, and murder. It was indeed a bold move to kill a regular fixture of the show, but they did it in a spectacular fashion that had the character in question going out with a bang, and so many tears being shed, my eyeballs and heart just about exploded. When the series decided to kill one of its regulars, they made sure to use it as a way of celebrating life and community while still exposing the raw tragedy of the situation. I haven't cried this much outside of One Piece. What was beautiful is that they didn't just forget the character when all was done. They make their life, their spirit, and how it touched others real, and we see each character continue to be affected by the life they lived and their death, which I couldn't have respected more. This actually brings me to the show's soundtrack, something I can only describe as the most fabulous TV show soundtrack of all time. Pose is perfectly able to recall not just the hits of the years the show depicts, but when they were at their peak and specifically what songs were popular within the community in question, and they are dead accurate in their selections. On top of this, they pair the songs perfectly to the situations being depicted on screen, which better highlights the story's narrative superbly. Whether it be a track over a scene or a song being performed, the timing, use, and selection are on a level of perfection that I could drop to my knees and worship. If they were selling the soundtrack, I'd purchase it, but lucky for me, I happen to own already a majority of the songs that feature in this series. This gives you some insight into my taste in music. One of my favorite topics featured this season was community. Now you probably think that's obvious as the show centers around a unique community, but I mean beyond just showing us it exists. We see the solidarity of the community. When you hurt one, you hurt them all, and they band together to defend and protect their own. If someone ends up with a dead body in their closet, everyone quickly closes ranks and protects the one in need, knowing full well how the outside world treats their kind and what is waiting for them regardless of innocence. It is up to the community to protect their own, and protect they shall. If one has been beaten, shamed, harassed, or thrown to the curb, others will gather to support their fallen brethren. Sure, they'll raid each other to fill, flip tables, and even pull switchblades and hammers on each other, but when it comes to the serious stuff, they have each other's backs always. It's something to admire about this community, truly. But on the flip side, we got a taste of the ugliness within, the toxicity that is found within all communities, especially those of minorities. During one episode, we see Angel's modeling career destroyed by a member of her own community. A gay gentleman who was the crew on one of her shoots recognized her from the ball scene and outed her as trans, destroying her career. I've seen for myself that while LGBTQ encompasses a lot of things, many within those letters are prejudiced against those within the community. There are gay people who think trans people are disgusting, and there are trans people who think being gay is disgusting. Prejudice exists everywhere, but it's worse when it occurs within a set of people who are already hated enough by most of society. To receive hate from your own community is disgraceful. To be the one dishing out the hate is even worse. Being a victim of hatred, how can you justify inflicting it on others? While this was only briefly touched upon, I wish they had gone further with it, as it is a genuine issue. We've heard it discussed how many in the gay community post on their social media and even online dating accounts, no fats, no femmes, no Asians, creating a real and disturbing double standard. Seeing as how the series was renewed for a third season, I hope this is something they address instead of it just being briefly glazed over for a couple of minutes in a single episode. While the idea of this series takes inspiration from the documentary Paris is Burning, a lot of what happens in this season are things that do actually occur in the documentary. In the documentary, we are introduced to someone who makes it into the modeling industry, unless my memory of that is wrong, which it might be. This is the storyline given to the character of Angel. We then have one of our regular trans characters murdered by a John. In the documentary, trans performer Venus Extravaganza, who engaged in prostitution, was killed when an engagement with a client went bad. While the show's character is not a portrayal of Venus, the circumstances of their life and death are the same. Seeing as how this series touches on Madonna and the world being introduced to voguing and the ballroom scene, I must recommend the documentary Strike a Pose for all those who watch Pose or have seen Paris is Burning. Strike a Pose came out in 2016 and profiles the dancers who performed with Madonna on her Blonde Ambition World Tour and what became of them as a result. You'll find elements of that documentary line up very well with things that occur or are discussed in season 2 of Pose. Season 2 finds itself perfectly able to grow and expand its characters, giving far more dialogue and storylines to characters who were more background roles in the first season. While doing this, it was able to add in new characters, and these new characters blew my mind. We have more Drag Race alum appearing, such as Peppermint, but more importantly, we see roles played by the tremendously talented Sandra Bernhard and Patti LuPone. I lost my marbles when Sandra Bernhard appeared and stuck around, then I died and went to heaven when Patti LuPone showed up. I was hysterical, but the good kind. This was only made better by the fact we got to watch them both sing. To say this made me happy would be a gross understatement. With guest appearances like this, season 2 was bringing it and bringing it hard, and it only makes me more excited to see what season 3 has in store. All the actors truly stepped it up this season. They brought the heart and the drama, and there was not a dry eye in the house. But here's my issue. While this show features a number of characters from the LGBT community, it focuses a great deal more on its trans characters, giving them more visibility than has ever been given to them before in film or television, both on and off screen. And yet when it came to 2019, while it was great to see the show being nominated for awards and what it's doing getting recognized, I had a little issue. A show that is putting a spotlight on trans people, especially trans women, and yet at the Golden Globes, a man gets nominated for Best Actor. Don't get me wrong, I love Billy Porter. He even liked my review of Pose on Instagram, which was incredible. And he kills it in this show, and it is still a win, and a historical win at that, being that Billy Porter is the first openly gay man to win such an award, which is an incredible feat. In fact, one of my favorite moments was watching him pretend he didn't know how to walk in heels. Billy Porter played Lola in Kinky Boots on Broadway, and he most certainly knows how to walk, dance, and high kick in heels. At the Primetime Emmy Awards, again, the only individual actor for the show that got nominated was Billy Porter. While it is terrific seeing a gay man receive awards, it seems strange that a show focusing so much on trans people had none of its trans actors nominated at the Primetime Emmys or Golden Globes. Not even MJ Rodriguez, who gave some fantastic performances this season and who has far more screen time than Billy Porter. I'm happy for him winning, and I'm thrilled to see the show get recognized and nominated, but it felt like the awards were willing to acknowledge the show but not the people the show is about. Dozens and dozens of trans actors and they all got the shaft. That doesn't sit well with me. It's like they didn't, this is just a hypothesis, this is just how I feel, but it was like they were saying, we don't see trans women as women, so therefore we cannot nominate them for Best Actress. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened, but that's how it feels, because the fact that not a single one of them got nominated blows my freaking mind. At the end of the day, season 1 was terrific, but season 2 was a masterpiece. Spectacularly written, fantastic performances, deep, confronting, and compelling stories with characters you love and love to hate and can't get enough of. If you still haven't checked out Pose, then I cannot, and I do mean cannot, recommend it enough. One of the best shows to hit the airwaves, and at a time when it is really needed. It's fresh, it's honest, it's transparent, and is a huge step forwards in terms of storytelling and inclusive casting. Season 3 can't come fast enough, as I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us. Season 2, I kid you, when I say roller coaster, I mean it. 1 minute I am screaming and squealing and cheering and snapping, and then 5 seconds later I'm a sobbing mess. I laughed, I cried, I screamed. Oh my god. To binge watch that in 2 to 3 days, by the end of it, my eyes were a mess and I was emotionally drained. But I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I am so excited for season 3. There aren't, at least I don't feel like there are a lot of shows that can really push it that far in terms of seasons. Like they can start off with a terrific first season, numerous shows have, but they kind of stay at the same level, at least that's how I see it, and then they usually kind of reach a point where they have nowhere else to go, but they keep making episodes and then they kind of plateau. Whereas Pose started strong and is just going up. So the stakes are really high and there's like a really high bar for it to hit in terms of where they go in season 3. Like I said, there are things that I really hope they address. I don't know if we're going to get a season 4. I guess it'll depends, because a lot of the main characters in the show at this time are battling AIDS. So it's like, well, how long can you keep it going? How long can you keep the characters alive? At one point, I totally thought they were going to kill off MJ Rodriguez and then we weren't getting a 3rd season. And then I checked, I'm like, we're not getting a 3rd season. I'm like, so she's not going to die. Oh, but what, they do kill her. And then we go to, I'm like, yay, she's not dead. So I'm really excited. And to see Sandra Bernhard and Patty Bart, oh my god. So I don't know, I'm expecting some more big names. big gay icons to be appearing in season 3. I don't know, maybe Patti LaBelle this time. I don't know, but I'm so excited. There aren't many shows that I get excited about anymore, but goddamn, Pose is one of them. So bring on season 3. Anyway, I actually thought that this review was going to go on a lot longer, so I've actually done quite well. So that is all I have to say on this. If you have seen Pose, whether it be season 1 or season 2, one or the other or both, please comment down below, let me know what you think of the show. And if you haven't seen Pose, in which case what the hell wrong with you, you have to see this show. It is so freaking good. It is so good. But I'm gonna settle down. I'm going to thank my terrific patrons as always, and I'm gonna head off because I have some Christmas videos to record. So until next time, bye.